Okay, so Georgia and Kentucky face off this week, and it's a game where I feel like it's going to fly under the radar. You have the Red River rivalry this weekend where OU and Texas are both undefeated. Texas is number 3. There's a lot of talk about Texas being back. Alabama and Texas A&M face off at 2:30. Both are at 4-1, and you feel like this is a do or die game for both Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban. But not a lot of people, I feel like, are talking about this UGA Kentucky game. UGA and Kentucky are both 5-0. Remember, Georgia is coming off 2 straight national championships, and this season they've looked very just sleepy at times. They look like they've fallen asleep at the wheel, but somehow they've just been able to stay on the road, right? And that's kind of what we feel like Georgia's been, or at least it's what I felt like watching Georgia this year. So I look at this Georgia-Kentucky game at 6 o'clock at ESPN. I think a lot of people maybe could overlook this game because, well, at 6:30, you're going to have Notre Dame-Louisville, which I feel like on ABC is probably been more of a hyped game and more of a pushed game than some of the other games out there. So Georgia-Kentucky, 6 o'clock, ESPN. The question is Georgia going to come out and play the ball that we have seen them play the past 2 years? Because the Georgia team that you've seen this season, where they have slow starts and then they put it together in the second half of games, that's not going to be a Georgia team that's going to be able to win this year with, honestly, some of the teams on their schedule that are better than I thought they'd be. Missouri is 5-0. And we all know what kind of challenge Missouri gave Georgia last year. It took the final minutes for Georgia to be able to win that game. And then you have Ole Miss, who they've got a fast-scoring offense. Yeah, Georgia might be able to slow them down a little bit, but is Georgia going to be able to slow them down enough? Now, I think at the end of the year, that November 18th game in Knoxville, it's really going to depend on what Tennessee is. We haven't really seen Tennessee be what they were, and that's expected. But I look at Georgia, and I say, you're only averaging 39.8 points per game, which is still pretty good. They have 26 total touchdowns. Their third down percentage is 53.9%. They're 2 of 3 on fourth downs. They're averaging 332 pass yards a game, but they've only rushed for 743 yards. And you're going to be playing a team that honestly is going to try to play the same style you do, where they're going to come in, they're going to want to control the clock, they're going to want to play smash mouth football, and they're going to try to run the ball down your throat. And we're going to find out if the Georgia can stop this Kentucky running game. Because if you guys watched Kentucky play Florida last week, you saw Ray Davis, the senior running back out of San Francisco, California, completely just run up and down the field against Florida. It was a bloodbath massacre. 26 carries, 280 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Devin Leary, though, did not have his best game. And if you're Georgia, you're probably putting the ball in Devin Leary's hands as much as you possibly can and making him beat you. Now, Devin Leary is a quarterback that, hey, if you give him the opportunity, he can beat you. You guys remember, or if you guys think, hey, the name Leary sounds familiar, and I don't remember him being at Kentucky, well, that's because he had played 4 seasons at NC State, where his best season in 2021, he put up 3,433 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. This year, he has 5 interceptions with this, which is his career most, tied for his career most. So Devin Leary's probably going to go over that number. He's only been sacked 4 times, though. Only 4 times. So you feel like the Kentucky offensive line is going to be able to give some sort of pass protection to be able to protect Devin Leary. But we all know that this Georgia defense, if they play what they're capable to, Kentucky really shouldn't stand a chance here. But I've got this one on an upset alert. Because, again, I think Georgia's sleeping. I think Georgia is walking through this season expecting to get to the playoffs and expecting to get to the national championship. And it's hard to make a three-peat. mean, look at these Alabama teams. So I look at what Georgia's doing. I didn't predict them to win the national championship this year. Now, they should be the number one team until somebody beats them because they've earned that right. They've earned that right to hold that spot. But this could be the week that they lose it. I was looking at total defense for Georgia and Kentucky. Kentucky they're tied for number 19th overall at 297.2 yards total given up a game. Georgia, on the other hand, at number 16, 287.2. Very similar numbers, only 10 yards off. I go to run defense, and I look at what Georgia's doing there. They're not even the best team in their state when it comes to the run defense. Georgia State only allowing 102.2 rush yards a game. Georgia's allowing 113.4. Kentucky, on the other hand, they're the number 9 overall rush defense in not even just the SEC, but the country. 75.8. And there's a good chance we look at this Missouri-Georgia game later on and say, hey, that could be an upset game too. Because right now, Missouri is only averaging 74.8 yards per game in the rush given up. So we're going to see how well they can do against a team like LSU, who's going to challenge them. But both of those teams, at least through the rush game and their defense, you feel like are capable of beating Georgia. Now, Georgia, in terms of the passing game, this is where I think you're going to see Kentucky struggle. Georgia has the number 18th ranked passing defense at 173.8 yards a game. Problem for Kentucky is you're not even in the top 50. You're not even in the top 50. You are number 60 at 221.4 passing yards given up. And there is a name on the Georgia squad by the name of Brock Bowers, who gave Auburn fits, and he's giving everybody else fits. And you got to be able to stop that guy. With giving up 221.4 passing yards a game, it's probably not going to happen. The question is, can you contain Brock Bowers just enough? And can you hold the ball and give your offense as much control over this game as possible? You have to, if you are Kentucky, to not only get Ray Davis involved, but Jutuan McClain as well. You have to get both of these guys involved. You've got to run the ball down Georgia's throat. And you have to have some of the best pass rush that you've had, or not pass rush, run blocking that you've had all season. Because Georgia's going to come for those backs. And if you're Kentucky, the key to this game is holding on to this ball. Kind of like because I know a lot of you guys on my channel watch Oklahoma, right? It's kind of like what Kansas State has done to Oklahoma for so many years. They control the game. They keep the ball in their hands. They extend their drives. They get to 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, 4th and 1. They're going for it, right? They're taking that clock down as much as possible. That's what Kentucky's got to do here. But, guys, I'm calling the upset here. Kentucky 31, Georgia 28. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think this one's going to fly under the radar. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at their phones in the stadium, or they're going to be watching games and looking at their phones, and they're going to go, oh, wait, what's going on down there? And they're going to see Kentucky beating Georgia, and you'll see Georgia get knocked off. So, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you go ahead and hit that like and hit that subscribe button. Jump down in the comments below and give me your score predictions.